Alright, sports fans, a few hours later, it's probably 95 out, and at least that in here, so I'm sweating. But here is the demo piece with the fiberglass all dried up. And the first thing is, boy, this thing's stiffened up. I don't know if you remember how much play was in this thing. Again, this is just 3 sides of a box, but man, it is just strong as it can be. So how did I do? Well, you be the judge. I'd say these are some pretty smooth fillets. I got a little bump there that would need to be taken off, maybe a little glob there. This one here looks real nice. And got a little drip going there. And this may be nicest of all. It's just a real nice fillet, and this thing is just solid. So remember I told you I might have been a little bit loose, needed to get a little bit tighter, and there you can see it. I had it sitting up and I got a drip. So I definitely will go a little bit more of the milled fibers and the cabosil for next time to stiffen it up. This up here, I'm going to have to hit that with the grinder. That was when the fiberglass was really setting up and almost unworkable. So the same thing here, but overall, I am real happy with how it came out, and I'm glad to know how to make peanut butter, and so hopefully I'll get better at it as I go. Hey now everybody, I want to show you the next step in my learning process for doing the fiberglass before I actually start doing it on the boat. Again, I mocked up this piece with just junk pieces of plywood, and I added elements to it that will be similar to the things that I'm going to need to fiberglass on the boat, including making the front seat pedestals and the rear seats. So again, the idea is to get a little bit of experience doing this before I do it for real. And so far, I've got I made the peanut butter and put that on all the joints. I made a fillet here, and I did do a little bit of grinding. I don't know if you can see that or not. Right here, I did some grinding just to play with a new toy, and that is a Makita 1 1/8" belt sander. This, along with some other things, were recommended by Andy Miller at Boatworks Today. I've been using him as my kind of go-to guru, and I've watched him on his videos use this thing with great effectiveness. And it does seem to be just the right size. The width is right. The radius on the front belt here is perfect for getting in and doing radiusing. I didn't do it fully to the nth degree there, but enough to get an idea, and it did work excellent. So that's my new toy. So today's video is going to be short, and all I'm going to do is try out some of this penetrating epoxy from Total Boat. This stuff is supposed to be a lifesaver if you've got any wood that's starting to get a little soft, maybe not totally rotten like the stuff that's been on my boat, but you know, if you've got some wood that you can catch before it really turns to mush, then this stuff is supposedly the cat's meow. So this is mixed at a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 parts of the epoxy to 1 part of the penetrating oil. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some, and I'm going to use it on the bare plywood just to seal it up. Bare wood is going to soak up just a whole bunch of resin, and the accepted way to do it is to coat the bare wood first, and then you can start laying up the fiberglass after that. If you don't do that, if you just were to take some resin, put it on there, start putting fiberglass mat down, then what happens is the wood will draw the resin in, and it'll leave you with a dry layup, and that's not very strong and certainly isn't going to seal it against the weather. So on my mock-up here, I'm going to do epoxy on, knock my cup over, this side, and this side. And the rest is going to be polyester resin, just so I get a little bit of experience with both. I'm going to use the polyester pretty much on everything that's not structural, and the epoxy resin I'm going to use on structural stuff. So basically below the deck is going to be mostly epoxy, and above the deck would be PE. And the reason for that is a 3-to-1 price advantage for the PE. So let me go ahead and get this mixed up. Before I do that, I think I will just take a second and wipe off any dust. I could use some acetone, but I don't think it's that critical. Finally got a little bit of a nicer day. It is not as hot as it's been. I think it's probably in the mid-80s, so it actually feels pretty good in here. Okay, so we're going to go 100 milliliters. That got too much. Still got too much. I don't need very much. This is a small area. That looks about right. Instructions don't say to shake, so I'm going to presume that you don't have to. That's about right. This again is the hardener. And now I need to mix after I clean up my spill. Most of what I've read say to mix about 2 minutes. I've seen other rules of thumb count to 100. Hard to count and talk at the same time, so I'm just going to take an educated guess at what 2 minutes is. This really isn't putting up too much fight mixing up. I don't know if you can see this or not, probably not, but it is just as runny as water, which makes sense. If you want it to soak in to the wood, you want something thin. I'm not sure I'm going to do this on everything. there's a way to use thinned out resin to do pretty much the same thing, but I got this from Total Boat, so I'm going to give it a shot. Maybe I'll like it better, who knows. Alright, so now I'm not smelling anything coming off of here, so I think I'm okay without my respirator. I am going to put gloves on. Alright, and to spread it, I'm going to use just a regular old chip brush. And let's see here. I think I'll start right here. And sure enough, it goes on just like water. These are screw inserts that I'm testing out. I've got a bolt in each one so the resin does not get in and fill up, so I wouldn't be able to use it. So let's see how this works getting into the holes. Now, since this is epoxy resin, you don't want to put polyester on top of epoxy resin. You can put epoxy resin on top of polyester. That's okay. But the accepted wisdom is that epoxy on top of PE on top of epoxy will not give you a strong bond. So far be it from me to challenge that wisdom. I'm just coming from the back side here to get these holes filled up. And here I think I will do the edges. I saw someplace or read someplace that when you're prepping your plywood, it should be one good coat on the faces and 2 coats on any edges, being that the edges are going to soak in more. That seems like pretty good advice. We'll see how that works out. Okay. Still going on real nice. It's not setting up too quickly for me, which is good. Different than the peanut butter experiment that you saw not long ago. And the last one's going to be this top side here. This might be a little harder for you guys to see. I think it's starting to thicken just a touch. Still nice and workable. stop right here at this joint. Making sure I don't have any drips. And I think that'll do it. Got a whole bunch of this stuff left over. Oh well, that was about the minimum I could really measure out, so it is what it is. Alright, well, this says it has to dry for 24 hours, so I'm just going to shut it down for now and get on to do something else, so we'll come back and see how it looks tomorrow.